Origins of U.S.Agent. John Walker had his strength enhanced in hopes of being a hero for his country like his fallen brother. After a tenure upholding the mantle of Captain America, Walker re-established himself as U.S. Agent, where he went on to have extensive service as a member of, and even leader to, the Avengers. John Walker was born in Custer's Grove, Georgia, to parents Caleb and Emily Walker. He had an older brother, Michael, and a sister, Kate. Growing up, John idolized his older brother, who had since died in the Vietnam War. The moment John turned of age, he enlisted in the army, against his mother's silent wishes, hoping to prove himself as a hero like his brother. While in the army, Walker befriended Lamar Hoskins, as well as Hector Lennox and Jerome Johnson. The quartet served their time together, and when they went back to the real world, John felt he still hadn't proven himself as a hero. Not long after, the group were approached by a representative of the power broker who offered them enhanced strength and power. They agreed to his strength augmentation process and soon after were ready to enlist in the Unlimited Class Wrestling Federation like many of the power broker's successful subjects. Walker, however, was dissatisfied with this decision, and when he was approached by an agent, Ethan Thurm, who wished to represent him as a wrestler, together they instead fleshed out his idea of what he really wanted to do with his strength: be a hero, in the shape of the Super Patriot. John Walker was introduced as an adversary to Captain America, and early appearances had him doing such things as refusing to help an old lady who was being mugged and organizing the beating of exchange students at a college to discredit Captain America. Despite this, he wasn't exactly a supervillain and was more of a misguided wannabe hero who came into conflict with Captain America. Eventually, when Walker became the new Captain America himself, he began to display far more altruistic and heroic tendencies, but he was still misguided and showed little restraint against enemies. The defining moment came when his mother and father were murdered by vengeful terrorists he had previously put away. After this incident, Walker had a dramatic personality shift and began down a dark path of brutality and little compassion. After eventually meeting the real Captain America, Walker gave up the Captain America guise and shortly afterwards began working for the government as the U.S. agent. He joined the Avengers shortly after, which infuriated Hawkeye, who quit in protest, and other members like Iron Man were quick to write Walker off for his origins, his blind devotion to the government, and for his appearance as a Captain America wannabe. Despite the bulk of his peers' negative feelings towards him, fellow Avengers have come to express some degree of faith in Walker. Captain America has come to see Walker as a friend and worthy ally. Hank Pym, the Wasp, and Wonder Man also respect him for his bravery and leadership skills, and he formed a big brother relationship with the Scarlet Witch and Spider-Woman. Walker has remained a hero, although with complications, since joining the Avengers and has returned to the team multiple times after his initial tenure. Most recently, he was seriously crippled fighting alongside the Avengers during Siege, where he lost an arm and a leg in a bid to stop Norman Osborn from retrieving Gungnir. Following his injury, he began acting as the warden to the Raft prison for superpowered criminals, as well as assisting Luke Cage and Songbird in the Thunderbolts program. Despite having lost an arm and a leg, Walker is shown to still be in peak condition, managing to dispatch a gang of criminals with relative ease. Magneto, who had severed ties with the Acts of Vengeance masterminds much earlier on, tracked down his daughter, who was still in a catatonic state of shock from recently losing her husband, her children, and being brainwashed by Set. As the Avengers were busy battling Loki, Agatha Harkness had taken the Scarlet Witch into her home to watch over while she was in her current near-comatose state, only to be confronted with Magneto, who managed to kidnap his daughter, torn Harkness's cottage from its base and hurled skyward. Wonder Man arrived to check in on their teammate to discover from Harkness that the cottage had disappeared into the sky. He also found Walker present, who was concerned for the Scarlet Witch himself and caught a glimpse of the house heading skyward. The two Avengers hop in a Quinjet and head into Earth's orbit to find the cottage, where they discover that in their absence Magneto has manipulated the Scarlet Witch into joining him in a new brotherhood of evil mutants. The two are attacked by the Scarlet Witch, who kills Wonder Man and badly injures Walker. The Wasp arrives at Agatha's cottage, which has since returned back down to Earth after Magneto left, and encounters Walker, who attempts to warn her to get away and call the Avengers, but it's too late as Wasp is confronted by the Scarlet Witch. The maddened Scarlet Witch held Walker, Wasp and Harkness captive using her hex power to hold them in place, and also brought Wonder Man back to life and repeatedly killed him and brought him back over and over again to torture him. Following more personal torture of Wonder Man, Scarlet Witch grows bored and decides to turn her attentions to Walker, who she believes is jealous that Wonder Man is getting special attention. Magneto arrives having left to conduct some other business and is greeted by arrival of more Avengers, Hank Pym, the Human Torch, Iron Man and Quicksilver. While Hank seems to have the situation in hand, Quicksilver betrays the rest of the Avengers and knocks Hank out, allying himself with Magneto and his sister. The new Brotherhood leave as the Avengers regroup to plan an attack to try and save Scarlet Witch from Magneto's clutches on Asteroid M. The Avengers' attack is less than successful, with the Human Torch being killed by the Scarlet Witch and Walker being critically crushed by strips of metal by Magneto. After defeat, Magneto uses his power to entrap the team within a huge ball of metal, composed of their Quinjet, and transport them back to Earth with the reminder they do not stand a chance against the new Brotherhood. With Walker out of action for a while, Hawkeye returned to the team and arrogantly wished to lead the team again, but was dismayed to discover Walker had recovered from his injuries and again resumed his leadership. An infuriated Hawkeye opted to stay since the team had lost 2 members in the Human Torch and Scarlet Witch, but began undermining Walker's leadership and trying to convince the rest of the team to nominate himself as the team's chairperson. Elsewhere, it was revealed Quicksilver and Pym had actually been working together, and he was feigning allegiance to Magneto in a bid to try and secure and save his sister. When the Scarlet Witch found out, she broke his legs, but not before Quicksilver used a shrunken lockjaw, thanks to Pym, to transport himself, her and Magneto to the Avengers Mansion. In the ensuing battle, Magneto discovered that the Scarlet Witch was being manipulated by some greater force when she entered a trance, and even his own power could not faze her. He took his leave as the Avengers brought the entranced Scarlet Witch back to their mansion and were soon presented with the greater force, Immortus. During Axis, Walker is seen working as a military recruiter. With the new Captain America temporarily turned evil and most of the Avengers either evil themselves or captive, Walker is recruited as part of an emergency team of Avengers by Valeria Richards and Phil Coulson. The substitute Avengers manage to hold off the rampaging Scarlet Witch long enough for Doctor Doom, temporarily transformed into a more heroic figure, to absorb her energy, causing her to flee. The captured energy is then used to resurrect Cassie, laying powers and abilities. John Walker possesses frequently understated superhuman strength vastly greater than his predecessor, Steve Rogers. He also possesses superhuman endurance as well as Olympic-class gymnastic skills. Walker is an excellent fighter, learning Captain America's fighting style from the Taskmaster. He is a combat veteran with military combat experience in tactical and strategic planning and observations, special operations, and is highly proficient in the use of conventional firearms. He uses his shield defensively and as a weapon, throwing it with great accuracy due to his superhuman strength. His exact strength level wavers but has been compared to that of Spider-Man's, although it should be noted Walker has actually bested Spider-Man twice in a fight. He was enhanced by the Power Broker but also appears to have strength beyond his normal treatments. The depiction of his strength mostly depends on the writer and how much research they have made into the character. For example, until very recently, Steve Rogers simply could not beat him due to his superior strength, but in 2004, Rogers was shown to beat him in a fight with relative ease. Recently, it was also seen that Bucky Barnes, who has an even smaller amount of strength than Steve, could best him.